Hey everyone, it's Mica. So this morning, Visionary Realms dropped a spark in the barn by asking the question, ammunition, good or bad, on their Twitter feed, which has caused a lot of debate. But I must say, cordial debate from what I've seen because the Pantheon fanbase so far is awesome. So shout out to you guys for being able to talk like adults, something we don't see often these days. I wrote a multi-tweet response myself, but I felt this would be a great topic to discuss simply due to reading through much of the comments. There seems to be a single thing: immersion. And immersion is great, and I'm all for immersion in video games, especially my MMOs. However, there are times where realism and immersion are detrimental to a game, and I feel that ammunition is one of those times. Unless it's a core mechanic of the game, like in survival games, where the goal is to survive, having ammunition and a limited amount is a core function and a good thing. In other games, however, like Fallout for instance, having ammunition just doesn't make any sense, because they want you to have this immersive experience of having to find ammo and carrying it on you, and I was having it, but at the same time, you can carry 9,000 bullets of each type. But in MMOs, my personal belief is that ammunition is a big ol' no-no. Now, let me delve into why, because I've been on both sides of this coin. I've played games where certain jobs or classes or whatever are completely locked behind ammo. You can't do anything without arrows or bullets or bolts. And I've also played games where there's no ammo at all. You get that bow, that crossbow, or that gun, and you are all set. So let's look at this from a game design perspective, specifically an MMO design perspective. Because when you're putting your classes together, deciding on weapons and armor, abilities, and functionality, you want to make sure that each and every one of those jobs is enjoyable and unique. And you want the player base to want to play each one of those classes or jobs. I'm going to use those words interchangeably throughout this entire video. I can't help it. That's why you are putting the work into them. That's why you decide to put that class or job in the game to begin with. And a lot goes into this, because you also have to consider not only does this job need to fill its role, but it also needs to function properly with all the other jobs, and you want to make them unique and have their own flair and have a reason for parties to want or need them. Because let's face it, useless jobs are useless jobs, and every game has them. And if all healers are the same and just have a different veneer, your players are going to notice, and it just gets dull, and it makes you look everything from lacking in creativity to just plain lazy. But even though you want each job to be its own thing, you also need to keep certain parameters in mind. For instance, you don't want mages to have to run to all corners of the world to learn spells when everybody else just learns everything automatically when they level up. You also don't want one job to be basically on autopilot with only the only requirement being one button being pushed constantly when all other jobs have a strict and quick rotation. And you don't want one job to need to constantly replenish its gear and weapons or ammo when others don't. In my tweet, I put it this way: if you made each swing of the sword cost a certain amount of gold, or require an item in your inventory that would slowly deplete, or if you required mages to gather and craft or purchase physical components for each and every spell they cast, your players would riot. So why is it okay to put that burden on rangers or gunmen? It's simply bad design. If you're singling out a specific class and telling your players, if you want to play this class, you're going to need to pay, whether it's in time or gold, to perform the most basic function of this class. Why in mid-card would you do this? It makes no sense from a design or gameplay perspective. You are penalizing your players for choosing a certain class. There's literally no reason for it outside of immersion. Unless, of course, you're going to give the same requirement to other classes as well. And I know some people will point out things like, well, mages need mana to cast, and if they don't have any mana, they're completely worthless. And that's true. However, mana in most games, especially MMOs, is free, and it replenishes over time. You don't need to spend an hour before raid stockpiling mana, and if you run out mid-raid, you're just SOL. And someone also brought up potions, like tanks and DPS needing health potions and mages needing mana potions. And this is also true, but it's also true with ranged, as you tend to not need most potions unless you're soloing. In parties, you have healers to replenish your health and support to replenish your mana, not to mention the replenishment with time factor. But nothing replenishes ammo. You can still cast a spell or swing a sword or axe without potions. Potions are a survivability thing, and that goes across the board, or should. just like the ability to perform your most basic function. There was also an argument that specialty ammo should be a thing, but we run into the exact same issues as above. If you don't require mages to have a certain consumable item to perform a certain spell, or I don't know, a magic stone for lack of anything better for your rogue to do some real cool debuff or stabby, then why should your ranged have it? That again is just a penalty for choosing a ranged class. And I haven't even talked about inventory space and carrying stacks and stacks of arrows of many different kinds, because again, like with Fallout, why is it immersive or mandatory for ranged to have to buy or craft ammo, but it's totally cool if they carry 9,000 arrows? If immersion's really that big of a thing, they should carry, I don't know, like 40 max. And it's also my belief that you should keep realism in check. It's great, but you don't want to be so picky with it that it ruins your game or part of it. If a barbarian just needs an axe or a mage just needs a staff, a ranger should just need a bow, not a bow and 9,000 arrows. It just makes no sense to me. But what are your thoughts? I really want to hear, because can you give me any possible reason outside of immersion to penalize ranged classes? I truly want to know. But that's all I have. Please, let's discuss this below. Am I just being blind to something? Is there something I'm not thinking of? Is the immersion really worth it? And as usual, it's been a hoot, and until next time, have fun.